Here we are, welcome to Sales Mastery. Today we're going to be talking about product knowledge and why it's so important. Just so you guys know, I'm doing bi-weekly videos about sales. So if you're interested in sales, if you're new in sales, you're trying to improve your sales skills, hit the subscribe button. Every other week you're going to see tips and things that I've learned in my 10 years of experience as a salesman. You know, if you're looking to become a master salesman, this series is for you. So definitely lock in and leave a comment. Let me know if you're struggling with anything in particular when it comes to sales. I could address it in a new video. But here we are. We're going to talk about product knowledge. And it's so key because when you're selling anything, especially if you're cold calling, the prospects are going to do things to test your product knowledge to see if they're dealing with an expert or see if they're dealing with an amateur. And nobody wants to deal with somebody who knows less about the product than they do. They're going to ask you questions a lot of times about things that they know that are completely impossible for you to do for them, to see if you balk at it right away or if you entertain it. And if you entertain their nonsense, like I'll just give you like an example. All right, I'm just going to use it in an analogy. This isn't necessarily an example for sales, but just for the purposes of this video, let's say you went to a grocery store and you told the cashier you wanted to pay 50 cents for a gallon of milk. All right, now if the cashier doesn't know what he's talking about, he might say, let me see if there's any milk, gallons of milk that go for 50 cents. You're going to be like, wow, this guy literally doesn't know anything about groceries or about milk. He's an idiot. Now, this isn't obviously a real scenario. It's just, it could be anything that you're selling. If you entertain people's nonsense, then they're going to know that you're not an expert in the field. Now, if you work in a grocery store and somebody says, hey, I want to get a gallon of milk for 50 cents, and you turn around like with a snap of a finger and go, what is it, 1935? They don't sell gallons of milk for that price anymore, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's what somebody's going to say if they actually know the prices of what's in their store. You have to know enough about your product to, at the very least, convey being an expert, because people want to do business with experts. They don't want to do business with amateurs. So, this is why if you're starting out in a new industry, you're going to have, even if you're a great salesman and your tonality is great, you're quick, you're witty with the rebuttals, everything is great, but you don't have the product knowledge, it's going to come across on the phone or, if it's a face-to-face sale, the lack of expertise on the product is going to come through until you get to a certain level where you at least have some level of proficiency where you're able to portray a certain level of expertise. Like I said, there's times where you could fake it till you make it, but there's certain industry jargon that you're going to need to know. There's certain little nuances that you're going to have to be aware of, and if you're not, you're going to look like an amateur. So it's just going to take time. You could be the best salesman in the world, but if I put you in a room and have you selling something you don't know the first thing about, it's going to take you some time to get to the level where you're consistently closing deals. So again, I've got experience with this where, I transitioned into a completely new industry, completely green, didn't know the first thing about the industry on day one, and I was able to close deals, but not consistently enough because I was getting into situations where I didn't know enough about the product to be completely confident in what I was saying. So, and that's part of it too. Part of it's the confidence is going to not come across as much when you don't know the product. And, you're going to get yourself into situations where you don't really understand when a client uses certain language, you don't know what their objections really mean. Whereas, once you understand the product and why people use the product and how people use the product, and you really get a grasp on it, then you'll start to understand, like, oh, what they said, it sounds like an objection, but it's not really an objection. Product knowledge is key. That's one thing I could tell you. If your tonality is good and everything about your sales technique is great, but you're still not closing deals, then get to work on your product knowledge. And when the product knowledge increases, you'll close more deals and just effortlessly. So I hope that provided value to you. Definitely subscribe if it did. Leave some comments. Let me know what you thought about that. And let me know what you guys are still struggling with in sales that you want to see me attack on the next video.